Ah, this is utter bullshit. I like, 5 times or something like that to actually get a connection to YouTube. It seems like YouTube is rejecting me. I don't know. It just seems weird that they would. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work and all that. It's just, yeah, you get kind of tired of that. Let's get some light in here. My eyes are at the point of working, I guess. So, who is the horn, the little horn of the book of Daniel and the beast of Revelation with the 7 heads and the whore, the harlot? Well, every single Protestant pretty much knew where to point in regards to these things. You see, the little horn is a Roman power. It's Roman in nature. It's sitting on a Roman beast. Now, if you go back and look at the book of Daniel, and you can see the 4 empires that it's talking about. You have the Babylonians, you have the Medo-Persians, and then you have the Greeks, and afterwards comes Rome, of course, which is the 4th beast, which is different than the others. So, but in any case, on this beast, the little horn grows up, plucking 3 horns, and, and that's the Roman emperor. If you can find today the Roman emperor, or the Roman king, or the Roman Caesar, you have found that little horn, who thinks to change times and laws, and who persecutes the saints. So, then you go to the book of Revelation. Of course, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation is 2 wonderful books where we see history laid out in prophecy, helping us to find out and figure out what is actually going on in the world. Some of it has happened in the past, and some of it is still future. And, that's pretty much both books are talking about, still future events, But it also talks about past events, and we can see it laid out. And, the book of Daniel was written, long, long ago, and yet it's laying down future history from the point of time where it was written. And that's interesting. Very, very, I think that's actually amazing, and people don't seem to be like, they don't seem to be like, wow, maybe it's because they don't read it or understands it or whatever, but it's like pretty clear, Daniel was in Babylon at the point of writing this, the visions and all that he was given by God. He was a prophet, of course, of Jehovah. And So we still have future prophecies in regards to these things. And it's just... So the beast in the book of Revelation, of course, let's get back to it, is, I'm just making breakfast, meat, Oh, it's good with some meat, There's no sugar in it, so no fungus food, it's wonderful. Anyway, the beast is a 7-headed beast. Now this is a Roman beast, and it's in regards of, as far as I see it, you have the little horn in Daniel, and then you have the beast in the book of Revelation. It's pretty much, it's not, it's pretty much just, pointing out more details on this little horn. And what details, well, it's a little more than, of course, it's more details, it's intertwinkling, what do you call it, intermingling with each other in regards of informations, because, of course, the 7-headed beast actually goes back to the beginning of Rome. It starts out as a kingdom. Rome begins as a kingdom, and then you have different other, what is it called? Different other government types, what is that called? So there's a word for that. So if you go down through Roman history, you can see they have different, different the first one was a kingdom, and then they had others. Yeah, I can't remember all of this, but anyway, and then we have the sixth head, which is in the time of five have been and one is, and one is to come for a short time, and then the eight is one of the seven, and that's the beast itself. So the sixth is then the hopefully I'm remembering correctly from memory and all that, but the sixth would of course be the Caesars, so the emperors pretty much, this is the Caesars pretty much. That's the one that's the that's the head that is governing in the time of John. So, and five have been. So five is already, the kingdom is done, and the other things. I haven't established, the other, there's different theories on, but I don't know enough Roman history to, to put those pieces, at least for now. And, everything takes time to research and all that. But anyway, but it starts out as a kingdom. And then number six is in regards to the Caesars, and then we get to the seven, and I think that was the Dukes, and that's just only for a short time. I think it was the Dukes that was number seven. That was information I got from Jörg. But I can't remember, and I don't have contact with him anymore. So anyway, so that was for a short time, and then the eight is coming, and it's one of the seven. So as far as I can see, it must be number six, of the heads. That is actually the eight and the beast itself. So that's actually the ones that is ruling at the moment. That's the so-called popes, That's the office and seat of the papacy. Now, then we have the whore. She's riding the beast. Now, who is the whore? Well, the great city that rules over the kings of the earth, right? So who could that be? Who could that possibly be? Well, looking into history and just, looking at things, and who it actually could be in regards of taking all the puzzle pieces together in the Bible itself, it must be Rome. And the thing is, the whore or the harlot is riding on all seven heads, okay? It's Rome. She's riding on all seven heads, all the seven mountains and all that. She rides on those, And, I know people will say that these mountains are literally in regard to Rome and all that. You have to also see it from, who knows if there's a double meaning in this. But, going back to prophecy, right? We want to, and from a biblical perspective, we have a, mountain represents, so you have different words for what is it called, the powers or kingdoms or, so yeah. And as far as I understand in regards of difference in regards to the fourth beast that is different from the others, is that the others, I think, was pretty much kingdoms. All of them was pretty much kingdoms, The Babylonian rule was a kingdom. The Medo-Persia was a kingdom. Well, they had two kings, there's something going on in that, but it's still a kingdom. It's still a king ruling. And then we have the Greeks and all that's divided into four heads and all that. You have a king in those as well. It seems like that's the king, but then we have the fourth beast, which is different than the others. So I think that might actually be in regards to the differences that Rome has a way of, having different kinds of government types, It starts out as a kingdom and then it becomes other things, over time, have a dictatorship, you have where four are ruling or three are ruling, or you have, where the parliament, you have all these different things and all that going on. And I can't remember it all, so and all that. I would need to read up more on Roman history to get all the puzzle pieces. But I've seen that others, in regards to this view, actually, actually have, come to conclude, people that actually studies these things and all that, that looking into it have come to conclude, some of the same things, and they then try to pinpoint the heads of the Roman beast and all that. And I don't have enough knowledge to actually know the exact heads from the. I know the first one was a kingdom, and apparently it seems like the Pontifex Maximus, which is, by the way, the so-called Pope today. He's the Pontifex Maximus. The Pontifex Maximus, or the bridge builder, seem to already have been there from the very beginning of Rome, from the conception of Rome. And that, of course, is interesting because the hall, also rides on the 7 beasts. So she should have been there from the very beginning, right? Of course, it's representing Rome. So, in any case. So the hall is drunken by the blood of the saints, right? So, she's persecuting the saints. She's drunken by the blood of the saints. She's riding on the authority of the beast, who is the Antichrist. Well, in our days anyway, in regards of that we are at the 8, and the 8 is the beast itself. So the beast is in the world today, the beast of the number 666. Which is also interesting in regards, I found another interesting thing. So I'll go back to solar worship pretty much, Sol Invictus, Mithra, Apollo, or, Helios, or whatever names that's out there. It seems like all these things are pretty much going back to sun worship, pagan sun worship. I can't remember all the names and all that, but just the Book of Revelation also talk about Apollyon, and it gives 2 names in regards, and that seems to go back to Apollo actually, again linking it to sun worship. But another thing that I found, an interesting thing I found, which seems to actually go back, long back. I don't know if actually anything. It seems like something has. I can't remember if it actually was found in Babylon or in that area, Mesopotamian, or what is called. They call it Sumer, which is actually in regards to the Bible. It's Shinar. So they call it Sumer instead of. But apparently it should have been Shumer, but now they just use Sumer. But actually, in regards to biblical terms, it's actually Shinar or Shinar. So, I don't know why they won't go by biblical names instead of making up their own. Anyway, whatever. So you can see a lot of interesting things in regards to that. Pictures and information and all that. There's a lot of interesting things for sure. Anyway, so. Before that time, I think it goes back to actually Babylon and all that. They had these amulets, and you can also see them up through history and all that. But they had these amulets or charms or whatever with numbers on them, and it's called the square of the sun, or something like that. The magic square of the sun. That's the name. You can actually we can just search on it. And that's one of the links again, it all links back to sun worship, Nazism, sun worship, there's just so many, and actually, by the way, Roman, leads back to Rome again, this Nazi thing and all that, where they do this, like this, or whatever, it's actually a Roman salute. So it's not a Nazi salute, it's a Roman salute. It all goes back to Rome. The symbols goes back to Rome, it's just incredible. What do you think is on the Nazi flag? It's the cookie Jesus. And what do you think is the symbol in the middle of the round thing? It's a sun symbol. Anyway, let's see here. The magic square. I think they also found it in Babylon. I might be magic square. I think it actually goes very, very long back in history. Square, the magic square. Let's just search on that and see if we find something. Here we go. Well, the sun. Yeah, okay, that's the magic square, but we want the sun square, right? So we know the number of the beast is 666, right? So what could have anything to do with the number 666, Why would that be so prevalent and all that? Well, here it actually says, and the magic square of the sun, 666 and the magic square of the sun is probably the most famous of all magic squares. Adding the numbers in each of the columns in the square will sum 111, with all 6 rows summing to the beastly number of the 666. The number 666 is most famously noted in John's Revelation in verse 13, 18. Here's wisdom and all that. Yeah. So, and I think they actually you can, I think you can lead it back to, Babylon, but I can't remember what they have found in the third and all that. But I think I saw some information, where they found it, but here we go with the magic square of the sun, and what reaches up, if you take it this way or this way, it reaches the number 666. Hey, and it's the magic square of the solar deity. Yeah, of the sun, the S-U-N. Oh, really? Interesting, right? Here we go with some of the old charms that they used. I don't know where it goes back to and all that here. It doesn't really say. We have the sun on it and all that, but apparently they use these to like an amulet, or to protect them against the gods, so-called gods. It's just demons. Demons comes in many disguises and so forward. But yeah, here's another one of these things and all that, and actually having 666 on the bottom and 111 on the top, and when you say 6, 32, 3, 34, 39, and 1 should add up to 111. Let's see, 40, 74, 77, 79, that would be 101. I'm apparently not good at calculating here. I'm getting 40, and 40, that's 80, and then you have 33. It doesn't seem to. I seem to be. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, or maybe I'm calculating. Let's try another. 7, 11, 27, 28, 8, and 30. Yeah, I'm not so good at calculating in my head, But anyway, the idea is, 11, 111 every. Or maybe actually it works, 80 and 80, right? Oh, sorry, 80, and then you have 33, but that doesn't really. That makes it for 80, that would be 113. So maybe I'm misreading something. Anyway, you should get. I haven't done the. I should probably do some of the calculation on the NCC, and but anyway, so a lot of people have done it, so I would think that it's true. That the verification is 111. It seems to be a legit thing and all that, but I haven't actually really, I should try to do it actually myself, and just to verify it, and then see what amulets can actually be found from where. But I think some of them was found in Babylon. Again, I can't remember everything, but anyway, so that's another hint in regards of going back to solar worship, pagan bullshit pretty much. So that's of course interesting, and I think this is done. It does. Looks a little red still, but okay, it's breakfast, whatever, and oh yeah. So, some good meat, 400 grams of meat. Always nice to get some meat. Oh, I had a ribeye yesterday. Oh, so good with a ribeye. Love ribeyes. That's just some of the best thing, but it's just a small steak, pretty much. But it was good. I was nearly ruining it because I ended up putting some salt that shouldn't have been put on. Have some salt that tastes a little like egg. And anyway, in regards to sulfur, I think. Anyway, so that's another link in regards of sun worship. You can go look into that if you. But in any case, it's just interesting because if this was actually a thing that was before the Book of Revelation, it's interesting number, right? In regards of, and of course, that might be because this pagan religion, have a way of using the number 666, and now maybe we know why they would use the number 666, because it goes back to sun worship, as everything else, Look at the Catholic cookie of theirs, their cookie god. the wafer god, the dry wafer god of the, a false version of Yeshua. It looks like the sun, the solar, thing, and then they put it in a monstrance, which is also called, a sunburst. You can actually see it in their own writings in regards to talking about us, that this is the normal, the standard that, looking like a sunburst. They even just say it outright, a sunburst. It's just incredible. And you can, of course, see that it just looks like a sunburst. By the way, in regards to the Nazi flag and all that, you can also see where they put sun rays around the Nazi symbol, or that it actually is representing in the sky as the sun, or the solar, the solar. It's incredible. And I've been reading, where you can see that the guy behind the writing this knows that is in regards. So he's talking like in solar language, so he apparently is in on this, that I saw writing it, and just all over in regards to Nazi symbols and all that. It's just leads all their symbols that they're using, going back to Rome. So the oath that they took, looks like the same oath, they're using the same, that's a little different in regards to spreading out and all that, but they took an oath, the Nazi soldiers and all that. I saw a video of them taking an oath, and then you go to those soldiers in the Vatican, the Swiss soldiers who takes an oath, and it's pretty much, it looks a lot of the same. There's a different in regards of the spreading of the fingers, but overall, that's, but overall, that's not, they use the same fingers, it seemed, as far as I remember. The difference was that the Swiss guys are really spreading out the fingers like this. You can go look it up, and Germans just, pretty much didn't keep them so far apart. But overall, it just looks very, very much the same, And of course, Yeshua said we shouldn't take any oath, right? And we shouldn't call anyone on earth father, right? But of course, the Roman Catholic bullshit pagan religion don't care about that, Anyway, so the hall is Rome, and she writes all the 7 heads. So she was already there. She was already there before Yeshua entered the world, and died for the sins of the world. She was already there. And she then takes on sheep clothing, She takes on sheep clothing, and she's still there, rolling over the kings of the earth. You can find a lot of information and pictures of, kings of the earth going to Rome, and of course the Antichrist and all that bullshit, which is the beast of the number 666. Every person or every man in the office and seat of the papacy is representing the Antichrist and the beast itself. So now, of course, there will in the future be one final one and all that, but every person in that line represents this beast. A beast can be multiple kings, just because it says one king, it still, represent more kings. You have to think in regards of prophecy, how they, works in regards of prophecy, how to decipher. You have to use the Bible to decipher the Bible. And all, of course, in regards to the mountains and all that, again, you use the Bible to define, and for example, you have the mountain of Christ, of Yeshua, growing on earth when he destroys all the statue. That would be all the beast that pretty much begins to crumble, and then you have a great mountain, the kingdom taking over the world in regards of Christ's kingdom on earth. This is of course still future, but it's still an ongoing process in some sense, because the children of God, are citizens of, so it seems like I still have some trying to research in regards to the resurrection. Now, we are not going to heaven when we die. We are awaiting the resurrection, but of course the Roman Catholics believe we go to either the heavens or into purgatory, or and purgatory is a good money business, letting people pay for, and of course indulgences as well, right? It's all bullshit pretty much. And it's just pagan bullshit with a facade of Christianity glimmer put on it, and then apparently it's Christian. It's like the Antichrist having a gigantic, and I'm going to be a little direct here, but in the front yard of the Antichrist there is a gigantic Egyptian erect idol penis standing just in the middle of St. Peter's Square, as they call it. Yeah. So why would the so-called head of Christianity have a stinking penis standing? Well, maybe not, but anyway, a stinking idol penis in his front yard. It's just a pagan bullshit satanic penis standing in his front yard. Why would the so-called head of Christianity have that in his front yard? By the way, in regards of the solar wheel and all that. But in any case, why would that be, I don't think that any Christian having that in his front yard would go out and destroy it at the very instant that, But no. Now, you see, the Roman Catholics will say to you, they won't even deny that this is a stinking pagan, satanic, gigantic Egyptian erect idol penis. They won't even say anything against that. But they will say, we put a cross on top of it, so we Christianize it. Okay. So that's how you do it. That's how you do. Oh, something pagan. Oh, it's a big gigantic penis. Let's just put a cross on top of it, and woo, that is Christianized. Yeah, the insanity of these people is just woo. That sanity is just flying out the window. It's like okay, if you can't see a problem with that, I don't know what to do. I literally don't know what to say to you, If you can't see there's something wrong here, I just don't know what to say to you anymore, I'm like, okay, okay. That person is just totally, it's just, anyway, that's just one thing of many, 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 many things of this system, It's just, you give me a break, They're not even defending it, They just say, well, in some way, they say, we put a cross on top of it. It's Christianized. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I think it become pretty offended when you talk against that cookie Jesus, or the wafer god, the false wafer god, Oh yeah, whatever, Protestants were speaking against these things. So anyway, the whore is riding on the beast, on the authority of the Antichrist, or the beast, or the man, the man in the position and all that. And of course, at some point, the whore will be destroyed. The harlot will be destroyed. Yet the Antichrist will still be there. The beast doesn't, just because the beast is, the 10 kings will hate the whore and, burn her pretty much. And those 10 kings have given their power to the Antichrist. So it seems like that, I guess the Antichrist or the devil don't need the system at this point. And of course, it says in the book of Revelation that God gives it into the hearts of these 10 kings that have given their power to the Antichrist to actually destroy this system or this city, this whole, this harlot. But that's still future and all that. So, I guess that probably at that point, the poop doom has been established on this earth, and he doesn't really, the devil don't need this deceptive system anymore, I would guess. But we'll have to see, the so-called new world order, and having 10 kings, that give that power to the beast. He probably don't need it anyway at that point. He probably has, the whole world under his, under his foot at this point in some sense. So apparently people like lies more than they like the truth. Anyway, I should probably stop because I have my breakfast here and it's getting cold. Or colder. And it's still a little heated, so that's nice. But yeah, so just read the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation and let these books unlock themselves. You can reread them and reread them and reread them and search on in regards of what Protestants also was, and just grow in history as well. And, it will begin to spring out as a flower with a beautiful sense, and you will begin to get more understanding what is going on in the world, But anyway, in regards to Roman Catholicism, it's all pagan bullshit. It's with cheap clothing on. You really have to be aware who the Antichrist is, because if you don't, you might actually be led to the Antichrist, and we don't want to be led to the Antichrist. We, all those things in regards to sun, the solar thing and all that. The first day of the week is in regards to Sunday, the venerated day of the Solar Invictus, Sol Invictus, and I will also go back to Mithra and all the names and all that, So that's the first day of the week, which many professed Christians are keeping, which is not the last day of the week. Now, of course, in Denmark, people believe it's the last day because in 1973 we changed it. And apparently before 1973, people didn't really care much about truth either, because I've asked a lot of people that is actually older than 1973, and a lot of them actually don't know either, but some of them does, but most of them, it's just, they don't care about the truth, we don't care about the truth, and that's a problem. When people don't care about the truth, they lose it. Satan runs over them. He bulldozes them, and then he takes a lot of rope from us. If we don't stand against it and pull some rope, he takes it. If we just let go of the rope, he takes the rope, So we have to stand against that, we have to begin to pull rope from Satan. And we have, Christmas, or Yule, as we call it in Denmark, going back to, again, the birth of the solar deity. This is the winter solstice and all that, non-biblical either. We have Easter, going back to, pagan goddess. We have Halloween, which is something... something that came around in my lifetime in Denmark. And we have all this Sunday bullshit, in regards to the solar deity, Sol Invictus. You have so many, it's like the fingerprint is all over, it's just incredible. Everywhere. It's in regards of, and then you have the high pagan priest, Pontifex Maximus. And who is the Pontifex Maximus? Well, Constantine was the Pontifex Maximus. Now, what was Constantine? Well, Constantine was the high pagan priest of Mithra, Sol Invictus. Oh, really? Yep, really. So, who is the Pontifex Maximus today? Who is the high pagan priest of the solar deity? Well, may I introduce the so-called Pope, the so-called Holy Father, or his so-called holiness. Well, I call him the Pope, or the unholy faker, or his most smelliness, but, that's just me. And I think that's more honest, pretty much. But yeah, so that's the Antichrist. That's the very Antichrist, the Roman Caesar, the Roman king, the Roman emperor. That is the very place you find the Antichrist. The Antichrist of the number 666. He's Roman. Yeah, anyway. I should stop it now. I guess, just going by the head, it would be easier if actually one wrote it down and just, thought about it and did some, collecting and all that. But there's a lot of people out there that have lot. There are some people actually, out there doing that and promoting truth and all that. Usually you just have to eat the meat and spit out the bones and all that. Have to be careful, because there might be some truth in it, but there also might be some things that are wrong mixed into it. So you have to be careful and just grow in truth and do the best that you can. And, little by little, you will be getting better and better and better to discerning what is truth and what is not. So, yeah. Anyway, Yeshua is God Almighty, Jehovah, and of course the Antichrist, his arch enemy, is in regards of the office of the papacy, or the papacy as I call it, It's in regards of papism, Romanism, and so forward. And the Roman Catholics has a foreign power that they are governed by. You see, when you have a Roman Catholic in your nation, and that's the Protestants didn't had rules in regards to the colonies over in the U.S. That a Roman Catholic was not allowed to be in government positions, and they were not allowed to keep the mass either, the blasphemous mass. And of course, we've forgotten about all this, and of course, I would need to read more history and all that. But that's as far as my knowledge goes in regards to this. But the thing, they knew things that we don't know anymore. The thing is, a Roman Catholic is having another power, outside power, that they are governed by, and that's the Roman king, the Roman emperor, the Roman, what was it? The Roman king, the Roman emperor, the Roman, the Roman Caesar, that's the word. So, he's the Caesar, he's the Pontifex Maximus, the high pagan priest of solar worship. He's pretty much the high pagan priest of all paganism. And yet he calls himself the head of Christianity. Bullshit. We shouldn't even, why would we listen to this guy? We should absolutely not listen to this guy. What we should is, like Martin Luther, burn the bull in regards of all his bullshit in the fire and all his canon laws. We shouldn't even care about them and all these church councils bullshit, fixing a lot of clever people and trying to go around the word of God, and say, oh, we had all these clever people and, bullshit, and then changing the laws of Jehovah. So, there, of course, the little horn thinks to change times and laws. Well, if it's only thinking to change times and laws, then that would be in regards of festivals and in regards of laws, in regards of Jehovah. If it only thinks to change times and laws, maybe the law of Jehovah is still valid then, right? Because if it only thinks to change times and laws, it sounds like the law of Jehovah is actually still active, right? Yeah. A lot of people will say, no, the law is abolished and done away with. Really? 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 Who says that? Oh, yeah, of course. Paulus, the Roman Pharisee Paulus. Oh, yeah. That all Asia left, right? Rejected, turned that back on and all that. Oh, yeah. You want to trust that guy? It's just incredible. 2 Timothy 1:15, you can see what he writes himself. They rejected him. They turned that back on him, And then you could go to the Revelation, which is 7 letters to 7 congregations in Asia Minor, the very place that rejected Paulus. And you can see what Yeshua talking about, false apostles that they tested and found to be liars. I wonder how many actually running around in the first century calling themselves apostles and coming in the name of Yeshua and needing to be tested and, finding them liars. I do wonder, how many do you think are actually going around and doing that in the first century? Besides the true apostles, of course, there's someone, right? Paulus, in regards of saying that, he's an apostle, right? I guess it's just a coincidence that he himself writes that all Asia have rejected him, right? Well, we know he was in Ephesus, and we know Yeshua writes to Ephesus, and pretty much, has like, hey, good job, you tested and you found it. And then we have other historical things that is interesting. Well, for example, we have a letter from Polygratus, the battle between Rome and Asia Minor. And you see, Rome wants them to keep, Easter and not according to the Bible in regards to the Passover. As far as I can see, Asia Minor, was keeping to the festivals of Jehovah. And the devil don't like that, So, but the one that we have most information on, because we have lost a lot of documents, in regards of, but we also have a lot of documents, but we have lost, you can take the puzzle pieces here and there and all that. But anyway, a little here and a little there, you can still learn a lot from, but anyway, we have the Romanizers and the Judaizers. And the Romanizers don't like the Judaizers, and they tend to slander them and kill them off and persecute them and, well, pretty much murder them and destroy their documents and all that. Anyway, so we have, the Bishop Victor in Rome writing to the Asian congregations that they need to change to Roman tradition. And we have this wonderful letter, and it's interesting from Polygratus, and it's interesting the letter never mentions Paulus. Isn't that interesting? It mentions the Apostle Paul. It mentions Apostle John. It mentions Apostle Philip, and it mentions a lot of other guys in the area of Asia Minor, but never mentions, the so-called Apostle Paul. Interesting, isn't it? Now, of course, we have lost a lot of documents and all that. I think that was probably things that was exposing, this guy. But, again, the censor, I can see how I'm getting censored, so it's not a totally surprise that a lot of information has been destroyed down through ages in regards to the devil really seems to work in people to get them to, destroy things. So yeah. Anyway, I guess that's all. So just remember that we have two groups out there. We have the Romanizers and we have the Judaizers, and they're growing up together, and they've always been growing up together. And there's always been a, conflict, but pretty much. Yeah. You see, the Romanizers loves to demean the Judaizers. And that began with Paulus as well, calling Judaizers, right? Or Judaizing. You're Judaizing, right? Like it's something bad, cursing people as well. You see, there went out two gospels in the world in the first century. That was, pretty much was the two, and both in the name of Yeshua. And one is in regards of going away from the law, and the other is actually going through the law, to the law. And then you have to question which one of these gospels do you think is true? Going away from the law of Jehovah or going to the law of Jehovah? Well, I'll make you make that decision. But for me, I think it's pretty clear that the Judaizers was the weed and the Romanizers are the poisonous darnel, And we also see Yeshua, rejecting people that says, Lord, Lord, haven't we done wonderful things in your name, driven out demons in your name, done many things, and prophesied in your name, whatever, and so forth. And what does Yeshua say? I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Actually, iniquity is lawlessness. Well, what law are we talking about? Well, I'm probably not talking about Roman law. Do you think that that's the Roman law? The law of the Antichrist? Or do you think maybe it's the law of Jehovah? And actually, in regards of the Greek, it's actually anomos. And anomos actually means no or not. And nomos means law. So it actually, as far as I can see, can be translated as you that are without the law. Without the law. I don't know if it's a valid translation. I think it could actually be, again, in regards to the Greek and all that. But I don't know enough Greek to actually, But means no or not. And nomos means law. So you have these things put together and it becomes anomos, which they translate as iniquity or lawlessness and so forward. Anyway, so isn't that interesting? This is a future thing, right? Yeshua is talking about a future event that hasn't happened yet, and he's talking about lawlessness. Why would he talk about lawlessness if the law is abolished? Well, maybe because the law is not abolished. Anyway, I should get the eating and all that, but anyway, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation pretty much lays out the whole history of, many thousand years, I guess, actually. Let's see, I can't remember the exact date when Daniel wrote it, but I think it's more than 2,500 years ago that Daniel wrote it in Babylon. And yeah. I bought some frozen avocados. I must say the taste could have been better, but still 1.6 grams of sugar. That seems a little more than I expected, actually, in regards of avocado. I thought it was down on 0 point something. So as far as I can see, that seems like there's as much sugar as in regards of broccoli. Okay, I had anyway, and cucumber, and anyway, have a good one. I guess that's a little for you to research, yeah. May Jehovah bless you and be with you. And may Yeshua be a most precious pearl, and the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, be in us all. Amen. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Shalom.